If that wasn't enough, that they break treaties and they break their contracts, that it was not for them to break. And it is not for them to contradict the sunnah of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is not for them to take the role of the ruler and put it into their hands. They are neither the hukam, they are not the khulafa, they are not the umara al-mu'mineen, they are not the rulers of the Muslims and the believers. Rather, these are just youth, shabab in the streets. Behind them are instigators. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala, the great Imam, the explainer of Sahih al-Bukhari in Fathul Bari, that he mentions in one of his works, and he died in the year 852 after the Hijrah. He mentioned that the worst of the Khawarij, about whom the Prophet ﷺ said that they will recite the Quran, and it will not go beyond their collarbones, and they will come in and out of the religion just like an arrow goes through its target. These individuals, the Prophet ﷺ described them as the kilabun nar. They are the individuals who rebel, break away from the jama'ah. They are the ones who believe that the rulers don't act in accordance with the deen of Allah, and that they are sinful and therefore that they must be killed and rebelled against. That Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned that the worst of the Khawarij are known as the Qa'dee. The Qa'dee are the worst sect of the Khawarij. Why? The Qa'dee meaning that they are the inciters. They sit back and they incite others. Who do they incite? They incite the shabab and the youth. So they send them out on rallies and they call them to these acts of transgression and murder and killing. Then they sit back in their homes and they snigger and they scoff and they laugh at what their hands have done. So the youth go out and they waste their lives. They kill others and they destroy themselves. Whilst these individuals, these shayateen, sit in their homes inciting others to go out, the Qa'dee. The worst sect of the Khawarij. Kilabun nar, as the Prophet ﷺ described them. The dogs of the hellfire. So now these youth go out, convinced. Absolutely convinced at the fact that what they are doing is in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas nothing could be further from the truth. So then they break contracts. And then they justify the breaking of the treaty. All in the name of what? That they say we want to go to Jannah. Okay, you want to go to Jannah. So now you kill those who it is not permissible to kill to get to Jannah. You break treaties and pacts and agreements that have been made between the Muslim rulers and between the non-Muslims in your goal to get to Jannah. Yet the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith that has been collected by Imam Muslim and others, from Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhuma, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Man qatala mu'ahadan, that whomsoever kills the one who is under the protection of a treaty, then he will not smell the scent of paradise, even though the scent of paradise, it can be smelled from 40 miles away. From 40 years away, afwan. These individuals, my brothers and sisters, they are threatened by Allah's destruction. They are threatened by Allah's punishment. And no Muslim should be deceived by the actions that have taken place this week. No Muslim should be deceived by that. How many people, as Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, how many people who make the statement, who mention the hadith of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, how many of them will you listen to whilst they are people of bid'ah? Meaning just because they quote an ayah or quote a hadith of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam doesn't mean that that they are worthy of being listened to. Ibn Battah rahimahullah ta'ala mentions in Al-Ibana from one of the Salaf. He mentions that when the mubtadi'ah, when the person of bid'ah, deviation, misguidance, that when he first calls you to his path, he does not introduce innovation to you. He mentions to you the hadith of Allah's Messenger. up until your heart becomes comfortable with him. Then he introduces his innovation. Then how will your heart disassociate itself from him? Because now you are drowned. It is not permissible, ya ikhwan, to do what these people have done. The greater evil that has resulted, the sin that you have committed in the first place, the great danger and the threat of Allah that you will not smell the scent of Jannah, the great threat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you will be cast into the hellfire. These are individuals who are mujrimun. And then we have those who sit in the gatherings of the khutub and they say, Ya akhi, don't mention the names of the people of bid'ah. Then how will you know haqq from batil? Do you forbid me from mentioning the name of the likes of Sayyid Qutb, who is the founder of this manhaj in our times? Do you forbid from me the mentioning of the likes of Bin Laden, who propagates takfir and the rebellion against the Muslim rulers and declaring the scholars to be kuffar? Do you forbid from me the mentioning of Anjem Choudhury, the leader of this satanic sect that travels around Britain, who radicalized these two youth to commit this act that they don't even know what they have done? I don't believe they even recognize what they have done in the light of the Kitab and the Sunnah. Because they are ignorant and they do not know. It is the Qa'diyah behind them that pushed them towards this act. Whilst they are sniggering in their homes, relaxing and sleeping in their beds, that they send the youth forth to their destruction. Do not be deceived. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our societies from these khawarij, from these enemies of Allah, these enemies of the Sunnah, these enemies who their forefathers killed the Sahaba. And in our times that they are killing innocent people. And in this time they are breaking the contracts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroy them. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kill their da'wah and kill those individuals who are behind them, carrying the da'wah of the Khawarij, the Qa'diyah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala free Salafi, protect the Salafis. For indeed Salafiyah is free from these acts of terrorism and these acts of disobedience that are committed in the name of Al-Islam.